All right, guys. Hello, everyone. So there will be a series of workshop. The goal is to build a feature, but some specific functionality throughout each of the workshop. And we will be touching many tools, technologies, process, and the procedures. And we will be actually connecting the dots, and that will include each of the software development team member, actually the roles and responsibilities. To my experience, this is the most of the hardest things you can think of being a software development team. So today is the first session. Out of the large topic, we'll be covering only 2 hours. And in these 2 hours, we'll be actually the building the foundation, and we'll continue the next week. 1 second. Sorry. Okay, so without any delay, so of course this session is to cover for someone, especially our students who has been with us. The many things will be actually the refreshing for them, and many things, the purpose of the workshop is you should be able to connect the dot, or you should be able to refresh your understanding one more time and mix and match. So end-to-end feature development presented by myself and Ayman. So our goal is to actually, we will be writing the code to develop the backend APIs and connect with the frontend, creating the database, connect the backend with database, and connect backend with the frontend. And of course, we are going to develop the API. So it means we are going to read those API through the Swagger. As we will be reading the Swagger, definitely we need to do the testing. So we are going to bring the Postman for the testing. And we will see the front end. We are going to see the back end. Of course, we'll be running some database, the query as well. So we are going to actually, without any assumption, without thinking this and that, we will be actually covering every single dot. You should be able to take notes, and then actually you should be able to ask question next Monday, the same time, okay? So this will be continuous journey. And after next Monday, we should be able to give this code base to the DevOps team, and they should be able to deploy on the cloud environment. That's the goal. And the QA should be able to use for the testing as well. And for this, we are going to use actually the GitHub, so that it will be public for the time being. Okay, so that's actually in a nutshell what we are going to do today. It will be only, if we run the whole workshop, it can take the whole night. So we're not going to do this. We're going to do this 2 hours, 2 hours. So let's get it started. We're going to use the VSE, as called the Visual Studio Code. It is the IDE. We are going to write the code. Okay, backend code, front-end code. We are going to use MongoDB. It is non-SQL or NoSQL database. That's where we are going to store the product creation data. Mongoose we are going to use is a library that simplifies data modeling and interaction. Of course, you're going to see practical. Express.js we are going to use, JS means JavaScript. Express.js we are going to use, it's a backend, actually the framework or library to use the business logic. Node.js we are going to use, which is runtime engine for the JavaScript. And we are going to use the Next.js, a React.js framework for building the server rendering and statically generated web application. It means the framework for the front end is React. Of course, every framework has some the drawback, so that so that the other framework actually on top of the existing framework improve those existing issues. So React, the Next.js on top of the React framework, so that we are actually going to use for the front end, means website. Okay. HTML says we're going to use the HTML for the product structure on the website. And we are going to use the SAS, of course, which is the kind of the programming language for the CSS. As we know, CSS is nothing but actually the beautification of any website. So all the color and the looking good, where the button should be, and the looking, padding, those kind of things, the CSS provide. So CSS has also the extended, which is called the SAS. As we are going to build the front and back end, of course, we need to do the testing. And we are going to use the Postman for the testing. Our goal is the back end today. And then, of course, the next week, we will be connecting the backend API with front end. We are going to use the GitHub to actually push the code, backend code, and the front end code. We're going to use the two code base. One is for the front end, one is for the backend. The goal is for the backend because we start developing the backend logic. It does not mean that's the only way. If you have the front-end developer, back-end developer, you actually develop the simultaneously development happens because we are going to follow the Agile Scrum. As I mentioned, we are going to use the Swagger UI. That's we are going to actually exposing all the APIs so that we can actually understand what each of the API does and the details about the API specification. And we are going to use the Ant design. It is the ready-made design that the developer, front-end developer takes and build actually the UI super fast. All right. I think he did not bring the, let me see. He did not bring the Agile LM, means the project management tools, and he did not bring the Agile Scrum, which is the framework he has been following to build this, the project. So please take the note, bring those. So I already mentioned this. So you can actually, if this is for this specific part for everybody, the developer write the code, QA and QEs write the code, and that Cloud Ops write the code because they write the code for the provision the infrastructure. So everyone can use the BS code. BS code is actually the open source, the software developed by Microsoft. It is based on the JavaScript. The library, or you can call the software is, the framework is Electron.js. Electron.js is used to actually develop and build the cross-functional desktop-based software. So the Microsoft has used the Electron.js to build the BS code. It is one of the most widely and popular in the developer community around the world. So this is just writing the code, debugging the code, and all the good stuff. And to follow that, you can just simply click this, and then you should be able to see all the steps. Good. So team has put together, you can download it, and you can actually, based on your operating system, you can download and install it. And so basically everything is given here. Download it, you can install it, click run, make sure you are in the admin of your computer, click I accept, and then actually where is the location of the installation for this software. And then finally, then just give the start menu name. You can give any name you want. Leave the default is fine. And then actually you can add this, make sure you can add this so you don't need to worry about anything because it will be configuring on the system variable so that it can work with the Windows operating system. If you want to see the desktop icon of the VS Code, you just click here, it should be fine. All right. And then click install, and it will take a couple of minutes. And then getting ready and finish. And then you open your VS Code, done. That's the number one steps. For the developer, they always use the higher configuration of the compute system. It means the 12 gigabyte RAM, 16 gigabyte RAM, can be more. Some of the developer use the 32 gigabyte RAM, and the i7, i9, those high configuration, the machine, because you are writing the code, it actually the build and run. Okay. All right, so let's go here. Okay, so you have to fix that as well. Sorry, I should go. Okay, so that's number one steps. Again, then of course we will need the MongoDB. So MongoDB, we are going to create the product, we need to store the product, like when you create the product, update the product, delete the product, we need to store somewhere else. So that will be the database. In this case, we are going to use the MongoDB. And the software stack we can call, or it is called MERN stack. MongoDB is the database. Express.js is the backend, the framework of JavaScript. React.js is the front-end framework for the front-end development, HTML, CSS, and the consuming the API. And the N means Node.js. It is actually a runtime engine for the JavaScript to run the code. Okay, and you can read more, but our database will be MongoDB. It is stored the data with the documented format. So exactly the way you see the Postman payload, it exactly the same way, because the MongoDB stored the payload, or they stored the data as a .json format. Okay, so whatever you see on the Postman, MongoDB works the same way because it stored the data in the JSON format. And okay, you can hold your question now. Okay, so Mongoose we are going to use. Mongoose is an object data modeling library for MongoDB. It acts as a bridge. Remember, read this part. It acts as a bridge connecting our Node.js, means our backend application, with the database. So that's actually we call it driver, making the interaction between the code end and the database more seamless and structured. So basically, Mongoose, you can call the driver, or it's called the object data modeling, that is used between the backend code base and the database, so that the data can be the data goes, and the logic actually, the backend make the logic, decide the logic, and then tell the database you can give the data or you can deny the data. So basically, it's an integration. Mongoose provide the built-in validation features that allows you to enforce data integrity. With Mongoose, you can implement predefined structure or schema for your collection. So that's the word I was waiting for. In MongoDB, we call the collection. In the relational database, we call the table, but they are the same thing. In MongoDB, we actually it stored the data with the JSON format. In the traditional database, it stored the data as a column data type, and the row is the data, actual user data. In Mongoose, the left side is the key, means the data type, and the right side is the value, which is how the JSON works. With Mongoose is built on top of MongoDB driver. I think that's the true statement. So Mongoose is built on top of the MongoDB driver. So driver actually the connect between the backend and the database, making it easier for developers to interact with MongoDB while executing the queries. We'll go over more details. So Node.js is an open source cross-platform JavaScript runtime environment that allows developers to run JavaScript code on the server side. So what happened basically when JavaScript actually born, means came to the market, it has been invented to work on the browser. Means you not only use the HTML and CSS, you need to do so much automation on the browser. So JavaScript actually was dominating on the browser, only dominating the programming language on the browser. On the web, it's a JavaScript. But what happened, the JavaScript on the server side, so who brought it? Used by the Google Chrome. So what happened exactly? So Node.js allows developers to use the JavaScript for the both front end and the back end development, making it a versatile the tools for building web application. So basically, we are going to use the JavaScript to write the backend business logic, and to do this, to run this, we use the Node.js. Simple. It's a runtime engine for the JavaScript. So you can read more details as you want, but I'm not going to do this. To install so you need to install the IDE we showed you.